Hi everybody, welcome to the envelope making class. This is a really fun class. I really enjoy this. We are going to make this really cute box envelope, and inside you can either use twine or ribbon for this. This one happens to have ribbon on it. And inside this really cute box envelope, we have three different styles. We have a rectangle, a square, and we have a gift card holder. All right, and we're going to learn how to make this whole thing. This is fabulous with the holidays just around the corner because there's always some form of gift card going out at some point or another to someone. You can also create a card and add a card inside here, but you're going to go home with the basics on envelope making. My tag has come undone. Give that a quick tie. This one has just a little tag in it. You could put whatever you want in there. And as I said, the gift card holder, we've lined it. So we're going to cover a lot of basics just in this one project. So in your kit, you will have received a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. And that's the first piece we're going to use. Let me flip my thing over here. You're going to need your scoreboard. You will have also received a couple of sheets. There's a plain, you've received a couple of the thinner sheets of the envelope paper. These are one-sided, and you will have received an 8 by 8 double-sided piece of paper, a couple of sheets of lighter weight cardstock that coordinate with the papers in your kit. Each kit is a little bit different. It depended on the background paper, and I tried to color coordinate them as best I could. Today I'm going to work with this one. Some people will have had these in their kits, others will have different ones in there. So you need your scoreboard. You will have also received your notch and corner rounder as well. Oh, where's my book? As well as your hunky-dory envelope making project book. Those are all included in your kit. And I must apologize, I did miss an important piece of, just a plain piece of white cardstock in the kits. My apologies for that. It does not have to be heavyweight. It does not have to be white. You can use whatever color you want. It is a 5 1/4 inch square. Now it doesn't have to be that size either. That I happen to use a stitch die cut to cut that piece out just to make it a little more decorative. You can make it whatever size you want. You can mount these just on here with nothing on. Okay, so my apologies again for missing that piece of cardstock in your kits. All right, so without further ado, I am going to get set up here. We're going to get started. So just a little overview of the book. Okay, you can see I have put a couple of pieces of just sticky paper in here just to mark my pages, because you will flip back and forth a few times. So what we're using, we're going to be on page 8 and page 10. And then again, all the way over to page 23. And then 24 and 25 are in there as well. So, but we're going to start with, we want to do the standard square envelopes. Okay. And it tells you, if you look in the instructions for they're calling it a birthday box envelope. We're doing a Christmas theme, but it's identical to this. It's going to tell you to make a box envelope for a 7 by 7 finished card size. So if you come over to page 8 and you are going to, the little chart is divided into card size, starting size of paper, and then where you're going to mark it. And again, we are on page 8 looking at the standard square envelopes. Can I get this up closer? So we want a card size of 7 by 7. So in order to make this card size 7 by 7, so that is the approximate finished size of the box envelope, we need a starting size paper of 11 by 11. Now for this box envelope, you want a good heavyweight piece of cardstock. You can't use thin stuff. I recommend 250 GSM and up. All right. So I have already cut this down to 11 by 11. So you guys will need to do that and get that trimmed down to 11 by 11. And then once you have it trimmed down to 11 by 11, all right, we need to put it in our scoreboards. Now I really like my steel ruler, and I'm going to flip it upside down because it does have a magnet on the back. I really like to use it in my scoreboard for doing this particular thing because I can push it up against the teeth of the scoreboard, and because we need to mark farther out in the page so you can see it, and you'll understand why in a moment. But what we want to do is 7 by 7 card finish, 11 by 11 inch piece of paper. We are going to mark each side at 5.5 inches. So, lost my pencil. I'll do that numerous times as papers start flying around. So 5.5 inches. So find 5.5 inches on your scoreboard. Make sure your paper's nice and square in there, nice and tight. All right. And then I just line my edge of my ruler up at the 5.5 inch notch, and then I'm going to come out a little way, and I'm just very lightly with a pencil, I'm just going to draw a little line there, just so you can see that. So I've just put a little line, probably about an inch out from the edge. Now, the Hunky Dory scoreboards have dimensions down the side as well. So I am going to find my 5.5 and again mark it like that. Now, one of the things that you can do for doing a square envelope, you can just go ahead and mark the other side as well. It's completely different when you're doing a rectangular envelope because not all sides are equal. So I'm just going to square that up there. I'm going to do another 5.5 inch mark there. Just double check that. Maybe it's off just a little bit. My ruler must not have been quite square at the top. All right, so now I have 4 marks at 5.5 inches. So now what we're going to do, your hole punch that you received in your kit, it has a notch side and it has a corner side. So right now we want to notch the paper. So you're looking for the edge that has these 2 little butterfly type wings sticking out. It says notch on it. And you want to put your paper in flat, and I will be lining it up, centering it in this hole right here. All right, so like this. I find it easier if I lay it down and the notch, the butterfly wings are facing me, and then there's my line. And I'm lining it up with the center of that, making sure that it's flush at the back here for both of them. and then we're going to punch. So you're left with this. So now you're going to do that on all 4 sides. I'm taking advantage of the ridge on my hunky-dory scoreboard to hold it in place for me while I line it up in all my locations. And then you're just going to rotate that around like that. And there you go. There's all your little pieces. These do not have, some punches have a little plastic thing to hold the paper. This does not. Okay, so you'll be getting rid of those. Now, what you can do is come back after and just erase your pencil lines. Get those out of there. You want to have a light hand when you're doing those. Mind you, these will be covered anyway. But just in case they're not covered, if you're not doing a lined envelope. All right, so now what we have to do is to create our square. I'm just going to lay this in place so you can sort of get a visual. So what we will be doing is scoring from notch to notch on all 4 sides to create this. Now what I like to do, I'm going to move this just a little bit closer to me, and I know you can't see the guidelines on here, but I go to the 6-inch. I just always do. I put my bursar in here, and what I do is I stay in the 6-inch notch, and I pull my bursar down. And then what we're going to do, because then I've got it in the 6-inch mark. You cannot see that here. So I can line it up in the center of my notch at the 6-inch mark. And you can see that I am overhanging the outside of my scoreboard. And there's no avoiding that. So, and you want that to where you're going to score, sorry, you want it to line up right in the center. And then if you follow on down through, because I kept my knife in that part, I am in the exact same location down there. And now I can pull it out, go to my 6-inch up here, and I can confidently score and know that I am in the 6-inch notch and it's centered down here. So now I'm going to do the same for all 4 sides. Line that up, score that. Now once you finish that score line, if you hold your knife there, you don't have to move it up and pull it down again. I forget sometimes when I'm doing this, and then I end up having to, but it's not the end of the world. There we go. And again. All right, so can you see my score line? Yes. So now I have a score line, a square in the center of my page. Now what we have to do to create the box effect is we have to come back in and score again. Now what we're scoring, we're going to move towards the point. We're not coming in, we're going out. So again, place your knife in your 6-inch or whatever slot you want to use, pull it down. And then what we want to do is now we are going to line up the score you already have. You're going to line that up on the next marked notch. So a 1/4 of an inch in. We want a 1/4 of an inch. So you're going to line that up, and then it's 2 ridges. And I hope this is making sense to you. I'm going to, so it's 1 notch, so that's 6-inch, then there's an empty one, and then it's the next one. That's your 1/4 inch. So when you come down here, I've got where my knife is, I've got an empty one, and then my score mark, my original one, is lined up on that one. So now I'm going to score that in like that, and now I have a 1/4 inch score. Going to do that around. I'll walk through this again. So what we have, I need something, it's going to show up a little bit more. 6 inch right here. So 6 inch groove, an empty groove, and then the next groove is where you want your original score line to be. So we've got 6 inch groove, a blank groove. Try that again. 6 inch groove, blank groove, and then the next groove is where you want your score line to be. And then you have to line it up the exact same way down at the bottom. And make sure you hold it in place. And then you can bring your knife up. And there you go. And you're going to do that on all 4 sides. So I have 6 inch groove, a blank groove, and the groove where we want our original score line to be. Score that. Got one more. 6 inch groove, blank groove, and then the groove where we want the original score to be. And now we're going to do a new score. There we go. So now we have a double score line around, see if I can see, there you go. A double score line around each of these. Okay, now what we can do is, let's score this in place. Go around, do each one. Now be careful when you're folding them in, because sometimes, I don't know if you can see, it's a little smaller here. You're not going to be able to see that. So sometimes it will drift a little bit when you're folding it, when you're bursting it down. So try to make sure when you're bursting it, both of those, that you've kind of got it lined up and it looks relatively even. It's not going to make a huge difference with this particular project, but if you get in the habit of doing it on projects where it will make a big difference, you'll want to you'll be in the habit of it anyway, and your projects, your scoring should work really well for you moving forward. Does it matter which one you score first? No, it does not. Or burst first, I mean, sorry. Okay. All right, so now we have our base all burst, scored. Now what we're going to do is we want to round these corners. So we're going to take the corner, the round portion of it now, and we're just going to go in here. We're going to round our corners. Move the debris off, and now we have this all finished. All right. Now we're going to move on to the 2 patterned pieces of paper that you have, and you will notice a really big difference in the weight of the paper. So the biggest decision here is, what do I want on the inside and what do I want on the outside? So I am trim this down. So they are cut. Hold on just a moment. I missed. Box envelope. Catch up on my instructions here for you guys. All right. Follow the steps, mark the sides, score. Oh, if I go to the right page, that would help me. So from different, trim them both slightly smaller and stick them. Okay, so what we're doing now is we are making the lighter papers, okay? So what it's asking us to do is we're going to repeat this exact step, okay, exactly what we did with these. Flip them over and do your marks on the back side. So again, they're 11-inch squares. I'm going to, I want to mark it at 5.5, 5.5, 5.5, and 5.5. We're going to line this up in the center of the notch side. And we're going to notch all 4 sides. And we're going to repeat this on the other paper as well. Don't do your corners yet, notching, because we're going to trim this down. This needs to be trimmed down a little bit, but we're going to score it first, and then we're going to trim it down so that it fits, so you have a little bit of an edge. So again, first, oh, I missed one of these. Sorry, guys. I only turned that 3 times. There we go. All right, into my 6-inch notch, groove, line, find the center of my notches. I'm not going to worry about erasing these unless your paper is transparent, fairly transparent, or you mark them hard. Because I'm on the back side of the paper this time. Again, find the center points in your notches. Be very careful scoring this particular paper because of the thinness of it. It takes very little to put your score lines in. Okay, and now we're going to move it over 2 grooves. And then we're going to score again. See, I went through my paper right there. That's how easy that goes, that tears. So very light touch. All 4 sides. 1, 2. So I've got all 4 done. I'm going to put that off to the side, and then I'm going to do my second piece exactly the same way. So I'm going to mark it at 5.5. Top and bottom. The reason you mark it out is because when you put it into the notcher, then you can see where your line is for lining it up. I don't know that I finished that thought earlier. on the first one. Okay, so I've got all 4 corners marked. I'm going to put my notcher in place. This time I'm going to remember to do all 4. Let's see if I can, not that you can really see what I'm doing, but see if I can keep my arm out of the way. It's not hard to use, but it's the distance I'm away from it. Always make sure it's sitting back in against this edge before you push it. Sometimes when you pull your hand away, it moves the paper a little bit. All right, all 4. Now I'm going to do that double score again. So down from my 6-inch, line up the center of that 1 notch, center of the one below, very gently score it, rotate it, same thing. I moved it. Got to find it again. And then we're going to, now that you've done all 4 sides, we're going to slide it over 2 notches. You're going to line up your original score line, 2 notches to the left, and then gently score again down the 6-inch line, or whatever line it is that you're following. Move it over 2. Don't forget to check down where your other hand is that you've moved it over 2 notches as well. So 1, 2, and 2. And this is giving you a lovely little 1/4 inch. Oh, see that? I bumped my hand. Scored where I shouldn't have scored. For now, we're done with this scoreboard. I'm just going to move it out of my way for a little bit. Okay. Now, these 2 papers, so these are your patterned papers. We need to trim these down a little bit. So get out a pair of longer scissors, and all I'm going to do, you could even do it, actually, you know what, I'm going to do it on my trimmer. I don't have space for a big guillotine in here, so I'm just using my trimmer. I'll put that in here. And I am just going to take just a little wee bit. I'm off each side, equal amounts off each side. Probably, how much am I going to take? Maybe about 1/8 of an inch. Guillotine would work better if you have it. If not, just be careful. You can see where I caught that edge, but that's not the end of the world. I think I say that too much. But you know what? It's paper. I'm not going to get bent about little things like that. Just be consistent in the amount that you're taking off. Like I said, I'm doing about 1/8 of an inch approximately. I can't really see the dimension on that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in from both sides. There we go. But you can see how little of a piece of I'm taking off all 4 sides. So just make sure you're rotating the same direction each time. Tuck it in. And then you're going to do both of the pattern papers just like this. Same technique. You just want to take a little bit off of them. Can you tell I don't use a paper trimmer often? I use a guillotine. There it goes. There's one trimmed. Trim the other one. This is just for a little border. And it's my last one here. There we go. All right. All right, I have some jagged edges on here. Let's see if I can't trim these up a little bit. All right, so now we have these scored. You can finger score these. That's how easily they work. Oh, but score it the right way, not the wrong way like I just did. This paper, this is the pattern I want inside. So I want the score to go this way. Just like that. Now what we need to do is use the corner punch on here. Round your corners. Kind of messed that one up. That's, well, guess what? I'm going to just manually round this. So that was one of my technical difficulties there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. This is going to be my outer. So for the outside one, we do want it to go this way. And that is because this side's being glued down and it will fold this way. And this one will fold this way with the white cardstock in the middle. So whichever you have chosen to be your outer, you will fold it towards the blank side. And the inner, you will fold it towards the pattern side. All right. Just have to take my sweater off here for a moment. I'm getting warmed up now with the lights on. All right, corner punch. We're going to round our corners. Once you've made a couple of these, they will go together so quickly for you. See if I can't smooth that out a little bit where my paper creased. You're not going to see it with the pattern on it from the pattern side. There we go. All right, make sure I've got all my score lines. Now, one of the things that you have to keep in mind. Okay, so now I have my plain. All right, I know on here we have patterned, but I'm using plain. So I need just less than 7 inches. I'm going to use my guillotine. I'm going to measure this out 7 inches. And I need a 7-inch square. There we go. All right, back to the drawing board. Okay, that's inside, this is outside. When you are putting this on the outside, do not glue that down yet because we have a little thing that we have to do first. So now we're going to take our heavy cardstock. We're going to turn it over so that the folds are going in. So it looks like this. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put our patterned paper on the outside. So you will see when you line this up, you will have a little border. So depending on how much you actually cut off is going to dictate how much of a little border that you have. Now if I'd had the guillotine, I probably would have gone back and trimmed this again, but I'm not going to because I would have liked a little bit more of a border. But I'm going to run with this, and we're just going to stick with this. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to apply my glue. We got our new Barely Art Precision Craft Glue in. I'm so excited about this glue. It's my favorite glue. So what we're going to do is around the inner score, I'm going to mark my glue. And then I'm going to just fill in the center so it sits flat. You don't need a ton of glue. All right. And now you're going to line this up and set it down in place. Line up your outer edges first before you set it down. And we're just going to set that in place, work the glue in, and then what you can do is you can work and glue the rest of this down. I'm just going to put a line here, and then I'm actually going to come up and around this part here. Like this. And then you're just going to work all 4 sides like that. Make sure it's down nice and flat. And work while your glue is still damp, re-score those lines. Oh, and try not to get a crease in it. There you go. Now I'm going to go around. You don't want to overwork them, but just a little bit to make sure the paper is sitting in the right spot. Like that. All right. I've just flipped this over now. I'm going to work from this side. So you are going to notice when, see how nice that is? But when you open it, you will have a little bit of crease, but that's normal. That's expected because it needs a little bit of give to hold that fold. Last one. You want your glue fairly close to the edge. And I think I said this already, you don't need a ton of glue. You don't want it oozing out everywhere. You do want enough to hold it in place. Now, an alternative way that you can do this too is you can leave these edges. You could trim your paper off and just put your paper on the corners like that. I have done them that way. All right. You can see I'm off a little bit on this corner. That was when I set this down. It didn't quite line up. I'm just going to come in with some fine scissors and trim that off. All right. So there we have our outside, like this. And then the piece that I cut to go on it will fit nicely right there. But before we put that on, let's go to our inside piece. We're going to do the exact same thing that we did on the other side, and we're going to glue this down. I'm going to put my glue down in here first, just because it's easier for me this way. I know you guys can't see my score lines on the camera, but I'm on the inside of the score lines. And I'm just going to fill in with some glue. And then again, I'm going to line this up. Set that down. So you can see now outside, inside. And the same thing we did, we're going to set this down. A bit of glue. Carried away there. Now, don't work these ones on the inside yet. Let them dry up a little bit more. One more. I always work my glue out towards the outer edges if I have been a little sloppy putting them in. Now I'm going to start working. I'm going to go around to where I started. So that's the last one I did. So I'm going to keep rotating this way. Just it gives that glue a little chance to dry up some more, because we want less bulk in there. So we want it to dry up well. There we are. That should sit nice like that for you. Get your fingers in there and work that score line a little bit, like that. There we go. All right, so now we have your base is made. So that's a beautiful little box envelope. I was having technical difficulties cutting my papers there, so mine's a little bit on the sloppy side, but when you're at home working with your regular tools and you're doing this, you can always stop and go back, hit pause and retrim or whatever you need to do. It was offset, so, but you've got the concept. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over now to our top, and we're going to adhere this in place. Now, before you put that in place, you need to stick down, I'm going to use cording today, your cord pieces. So I like to use double-sided tape. You can trim these shorter after the fact. My ribbon ones were way too long, so I'm using a finer cord. I need 4 pieces. I'm just going to cut those. Try this again. All right, so I've got my 4 pieces of cord, and you want them centered on one on each side, because you need to be able to hold all 4 of those down in place. All right, so I like to use double-sided tape for this particular thing. It's all going to be hidden after the fact, but what I like to do is tear a little piece off and find my center mark, or approximately. Remember to allow for your little border around, okay? So make sure you have it set back in a little bit. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna do all 4 sides. Can use a thicker a wider double-sided tape. You can do it however you would like to do it. This is just the way I tend to do it. I'm going to put one on each side. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel it off. I'm going to put my tape, I'm going to put my cord, my ruler go in my mess, just for approximate. What do we have? We have 7, so 3, 3.5, so it needs to be over here a little bit more. Just over 3.5, so right in that range, approximately. That'll close enough. Now what I like to do, once I have it stuck down, then I put another piece of tape over top of it. Right over top of the existing tape that you have there. I just find that secures it a little bit better. I'll come back and peel that other piece off before I put the top piece of paper on. Let's do that on all 4 sides. You can see too that I like to get it stuck right down like that. Yes, you are going to see this on the paper on the top. You can always put a little bow on there or some ephemera, however you choose to do it. Ribbon does sit flatter, but I found the ribbon didn't hold as well tying, and it's a personal preference, I think. One more side. All right, well, spread them all out, pull that top piece of tape off. And then we're going to glue this down into place. So again, not a ton of glue. I'm much neater when I'm not on camera like this. There we go. I am going to put just a little bit, not too much. Make sure you've got your twine or your ribbon out. And we're going to adhere that down between the tape and the glue. All right. So there we have it. Then you can add more to the front. You can use all your ephemera. But right now what I want to do is show you how to do the inside. Then we'll come back and decorate the outside. So we're going to take this and we're going to put it off to the side now because you've got the basic one done. We're going to pull your book back out, okay, and you're going to go to page 23 in your book, and we are going to work on these 3 pieces here that are going to go inside your envelope. All right, so it says you're going to make 3 envelopes using different papers. And the first one is from an 8 1/4 and 8 1/4 piece of paper. So what that one is going to be, it's going to be your duo design paper. And it is not 8 1/4, it is only 8 inches. But that's okay because all you need to do is, and I'll show you, we're going to take 1/4 of an inch off our measurements. But everybody has a different piece of this. So yours won't necessarily look the same. It will be this on one side, similar, different colors. It could be a snowflake one too, from the snowflake book. It depends on what colors you got in your kit. So We're going to take this 8x8 Duo Design Hunky Dory paper, and we're going to start with that one. So we're going to make our rectangular envelope. So now we've made a square box envelope. Now we're going to go make a regular rectangular envelope. So what you need is that 8-inch piece of paper, and then you are going to go to page 10 in your book, How to Make a Standard Rectangle Envelope. So in your instructions, all right, we're starting paper with 8 1/4, but we're not, it's 8 inches. So what I've done is this marking portion here, I took 1/4 inch off. So it's actually 4.5 inches. So I don't know if you want to write that in your book. So when you go back to do this, you have that instruction in there if you're going to repeat using this paper at all. But that's all you need to do. Whatever, like say the next one down, you're 6 1/4, but you've only got a 6-inch pad, take 1/4 inch off that. It works perfectly, okay? So we're going to take our 8-inch and we're going to follow the instructions that are here in the book. So we're going to take our 8-inch piece of paper, and we are going to get our scoreboard out and our ruler and a pencil. All right, and it is telling us, and my written notes for this particular project, we will mark each side at 4.5 inches. So with your paper in your scoreboard like this, those scissors are in my way, like this, all right? So we are going to mark, this is for notching, we're going to mark at 4.5 inches on the top. So 4.5 inches, I'm going to put a little pencil mark. And then on the left-hand side, without moving your paper, you are going to mark again at 4.5 inches. All right, so we have top and left-hand sides marked at 4.5 inches from this corner of your scoreboard. Now we're going to take this paper and we're going to turn it once and twice. So we're going to turn it 180 degrees, and we are going to again mark top and left-hand side at 4.5 inches. And remember to mark out a little bit away from your pattern so that you can see where your mark is when you're notching. All right. So there. So I've got that. And now we're using again the butterfly piece on here, and we're going to line it up. So in that goes, flush to the back. And we're going to find each of those notches. All right. So I've notched all 4 sides, and you can see that it looks a little wonky, but it's good because it actually goes this way. That way. And I'm just going to erase the sides on it here. What did I do? Oh, see that? One of those I did not mark it correctly. See that? I have marked that one. I don't know how I did that. I marked it at 4 inches instead of 4.5. But I have an emergency backup. So we're all good. This one is good. All right. So double check your measurements. So it's 4.5, 4.5, and then if you flip it twice, it's 4.5 and it's 4.5. Somehow I missed one of those. So once you have that, it's back to the same thing again, the same as what we did for the big envelope. We need to score lines across. So same idea, find your mark, put it in place. Now I've already scored this. Be very careful because it's thin paper, it will tear. So just do your scores. And again, on this side, and score all 4 sides. I'm gonna erase my little marks here. Now, because this is double-sided paper, you can use either side. So I'm torn. How much scene am I going to get? Because it's actually this side that you're going to see. Actually, I might just keep it. So I'm going to do it, I'm going to fold it in this way so I can actually see the houses. Having a hard time seeing my score line. I was too light with it. We're going to come back and visit this, okay? We will come back. All right, so you can see you have a nicely shaped envelope. You could even mail this one out with the way the scene is on it. But what we're going to do first is we're going to round our corners. Round your 2 small ends first. And I'll tell you why in a second, because these are going to come in. And then we're going to decide what we want to keep and what we want to get rid of, because one of these we're going to trim it off. So I want to keep the houses because I kind of like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little pencil mark here and here. And then I have my nice little trimmer. Slide that in, line up my pencil marks. Where is it? Right there. So now you have a flat edge. So now this one, I'm going to round this one. All right. It's going to go like this, and like this. So you can put it either way if you wanted to keep that out, or you can put it this way. It's totally up to you. A little bit of glue. I'm just going to run it along this edge, up to here, and the same on this side, just like that. And there you have your rectangular envelope. Just like that. Quick and easy. Now we're going to go on to the square envelope. So back to our instructions again here. These are on 24, and this is for the box envelope inner. Okay. So we've made our rectangular envelope. That was the first one. And then we need one from 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So if in your package you would have, some got patterned papers, some didn't. I was just doing a variety pack and they all went in. I am actually going to, what am I going to do? I think I'm going to use definitely that side, and I think I'm going to use this side. So, because we have two more things, we're going to do a little square envelope. So this particular one, we need it 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. All right. So I'm going to cut discard that. And 4 1/4. I'm going to go back and double check this measurement because I seem to be batting 1,000 for making mistakes today. All right, so I now have a 4 1/4 inch by 4 1/4 inch piece of paper. What I want to do now is we're going to make the square card. So I'm going to go back in my book here. And how to make a standard square envelope, page 8. And we're following the very top one, okay, and the starting size of the paper is 4 1/4. When you're making a square envelope, you're always going to score at the halfway point on each side of the paper. So we are scoring today at 2 1/8 of an inch. Not scoring, we're marking. My apologies. 2 1/8. So 2 1/8. This. And then because I was off the last time with that, I'm going to come back in and rotate that around. You'll get used to it. You do whatever works best for you. I don't believe that any one person has the perfect technique. I think different people shake things up differently. Let's see if you can see that better. Now I'm going to do my notches. Like that. Now we're going to score. So from center to center of the notches, you'll notice as you get working on this, your score lines should be lining up in the corners. If not, take a little bit extra time when you're doing your scores to make sure that they're lining up. I'll show you on this side. You might be able to see it better. See how they're lining up in the corners? In the notches, that's the way it should go. So this is your little square. And this is going to be my outside. So I'm going to erase my lines here. That. Fold it. You can do your corners before, like round your corners before you fold it. It's totally up to you. And round all 4 corners. Like that. And then you have this cutesy little envelope. Get my glue. I'm just going to mark it in like this. Come out and mark that little bit there like that. There we go. And that's perfect for your little tags. So now we have done a box envelope, we've done a rectangular envelope, and we've done a square envelope. Now we just have to do the gift card holder. So back into our book, onto page 24. And then for the third, they're calling it an envelope. It's made differently. It says take 3 1/4 inch by 5 1/4 inch paper and score at the 1/4 inch line. So let's start with that. You need 3 3/4. by 5 1/4. All right, so let's do 3 3/4 inches. 5 1/4. All right, 3 3/4 by 5 1/4, and then we're going to score at 1/4 inch and 2 1/2 inches to create the tab. And cutting away the excess. Uh, 1/4 inch and 2 1/2 inches. Okay. So now it's saying 1/4 inch. I have a really hard time scoring on this side. I've got 1/4 inch here. I'm going to score it here. Oh, and I pushed too hard. All right. And then it's saying 2 1/2 inches. So 2 1/2 inches is half of the 5 I have remaining. And I'm going to score it like this. And because I want that on the outside, I'm going to score it like this. And then like that. All right. Now, we're going to, so there is the one score. And then we have this on in between this score and this score. Take your notch, find approximately the center, and put a notch in it. Okay, and then at this end, what we're going to do is just on one side. I'm going to do it on this side because we are going to score 1/4 inch just up to the middle score. So like this. So can you see I scored from the center fold at the opposite end of this, and on the opposite side, I have scored that just on that side. You're going to do a little snip right here. If I can find my scissors in my mess. Just like that. We're going to fold that up and in. Oh, I am really batting 1,000 for mistakes today. And that's okay, because we're gonna, you can do one of two things. You can either cut it right off. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I forgot how to do this part. The easiest part, I didn't revisit it. You can either trim that off all the way across, which I think is what I'm gonna do. And then what you're gonna do is glue, I'll have to take a little bit of this off too, so that it doesn't meet up. So I'm going to trim that off 1/4 inch. Like that. So now when that folds in, these are just your glue lines. So you can glue them together. Get my score out there better. So that that glues to that. But what we don't want is, we don't want this overlap because, oh, hold on, sorry. We don't want this overlap because it makes it too bulky. So you can either trim a little bit off this one or a little bit off the one that's inside. I'm going to choose to do the one that's inside, and I'm going to trim it off just 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to do like that and like that. I'm going to take a little bit extra off right here too, because I can see it's, you can even cut it at an angle. So that it's not overlapping anymore. Do need to come in just a little bit more. There we go. So now we don't have any bulk, no overlap. Trim that up a little bit better, like that, and we're going to glue that together. So I've got glue on both of those. Now I want to tuck those in like that. A little bit of excess here. I'm going to trim that off. There we go. All right. So now we have your gift card holder. Now it's assembly. So all you're going to do is piece these all in. Make sure they all fit. Some glue down. Start with your big one, because then you can adjust where your other ones are going to go. Like that. And then you can line these ones up. Just like that. There you go. Now, you could put a little piece of Velcro on those to hold them in place. Whatever you want. And then you pull these up. There we go. So as you can see, I was more than generous with my cuts. You don't need as much as I did. And how much did I do? I don't know, 10 inches maybe. You don't need that much. But anyway, there you go. And then all you're going to do is take whatever ephemera that you were given in your package, and we're going to just decorate it up. I went with the floral theme. These are just stunning. These are hunky-dory. The original one I did was with some houses. What do I want here? Now, I don't recommend using any kind of foam tape on the inside on top of your envelopes, but out here, by all means, go crazy with the foam tape. Do whatever you want with it. You can layer these up. And we're going to put a little bow on here, like that. I'm going to put some extra sprigs. You can add sentiments to it. And you've got this gorgeous, gorgeous little gift box to give someone just such a nice, pleasant change from your usual old gift card holders. Again, these are the die cut books. They're called Delightful Die Cuts. We've got the Winter Forest. Some of you will have some of those. This is the one I'm using right now, the Festive Foliage. And then there's the Christmas Village. So everybody's got one different, a little bit different. These are fabulous. I love these. Hunky Dory just started coming out with stuff like that in the last year. And they're fabulous. They're already die cut. They're a beautiful weight. And that's it. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. Definitely shoot some messages off to me if you have any questions. And I'll get back to you as quickly as I can with them. This is a pre-recorded class. But by all means, reach out and I will get back to you. Thanks very much, and everybody have a fabulous day.